Di naaglokat ay nari
The Inuit still hunt groups seals using traditional tools. No modern gear, just the old ways that sty work. It takes skill, teamwork, and respect for the land. When the time comes, everyone prepares. The ice is ready, the hunters are ready, and the seal hunt quietly begins. The air bites at my face as I stand among the Inuit hunters at the edge of their village. It's barely dawn, and the temperature must be around -30 degrees. I watch as a group of elders gather at the shoreline, their eyes scanning the vast ice sheet extending to the horizon. Their weathered faces show a focus that comes from decades of reading these conditions. I've learned that their traditional knowledge of weather patterns is astonishingly accurate. Studies show their predictions are correct about 70% of the time, often outperforming modern meteorological equipment in these remote regions. "Today we hunt," announces one elder after several minutes of observation. I'm struck by how these simple words carry such weight. The sea ice conditions are ideal today, strong enough to support our weight, but with thin patches where seals maintain their breathing holes. The other hunters nod in agreement, and I can feel the energy shift as the village springs into action. Men emerge from their homes, some stretching sleep-stiff muscles, while others already move with purpose. I notice a few women joining as well, known for their exceptional patience and eyesight. One hunter looks at the horizon and jokes to me. The seals think they're hidden, but they forgot to turn off their location settings. The others laugh as they continue gathering their equipment. I follow along as each hunter collects their tools with methodical precision. First comes the harpoon, naujak, or nuvuk they call it. I am fascinated by its design. Not a simple spear, but a sophisticated tool with a detachable head that locks into the seal once thrust. One hunter shows me how the mechanism works, demonstrating how it prevents the seal from escaping. Next, I watch them prepare the avatak, sealskin floats that attach to the harpoon line. "These are the original Find My Seal apps," one hunter explains to me with a grin. And unlike your phone, they've never needed a software update in 4,000 years. I'm amazed at the ingenuity of this device, which prevents a struck seal from diving too deep or swimming away. The hunters select their unak, long ice probes that help locate breathing holes beneath the snow. I try lifting one and am surprised by its perfect balance. They explain how they tap it against the ice to distinguish between solid sections and the hollow sound of a breathing hole. I learn that a skilled hunter can detect differences in ice thickness of less than an inch just from the sound. Snow knives called pana are sharpened before my eyes, the hunters demonstrating how these versatile tools cut through snow, ice, and can even assist with butchering. The kamutik, traditional sleds made of wood lashed together with sealskin, are loaded last. I'm told these sleds can withstand the harshest conditions of the Arctic for decades if properly maintained. The hunters share a quick meal of dried fish and tea. There's little conversation now. I can sense their focus shifting to the task ahead. One hunter explains to me in hushed tones that even today, seal hunting provides approximately 40% of the protein in many Inuit communities. This isn't sport or tradition alone, it's essential sustenance. I zip my parka tighter as we leave the village, steeling myself for the journey ahead. The morning sun casts long blue shadows across the endless white landscape. As we move away from the settlement, the silence of the Arctic envelops us. A silence so complete it seems to have physical weight. I'm about to witness an ancient practice that has sustained life in this harsh environment for thousands of years. We spread out across the frozen sea, forming a wide search pattern. At -20 degrees Celsius, my eyelashes are freezing together, but the hunters don't even seem to notice the cold. Some travel on foot with caribou hide boots, others guide dog sleds, and a few use snowmobiles for distant areas, though they always cut engines before approaching potential hunting grounds. "Wide spaces between hunters," calls a senior member. They explain that seals can detect vibrations through ice from 200 meters away. "It's like trying to sneak up on your teenager when they have their phone notifications on," one hunter tells me with a wink. "They always know you're coming." I stumble slightly, my foot breaking through a thin crust of snow. A hunter helps me up with a strong grip. Walk where we walk, he advises kindly. The ice tells us where to step if we listen. I nod gratefully, realizing there's an entire language of survival here I'm only beginning to understand. The hunters travel with an efficiency that speaks of generations of practice. Despite wearing multiple layers of clothing, they move with remarkable grace. I, on the other hand, feel like an astronaut attempting ballet, clumsy and conspicuous. First time on the ice is always awkward, one hunter assures me, like a seal trying to use a smartphone with flippers. The analogy is oddly comforting. I'm amazed at how they read this seemingly blank white landscape. What looks like endless snow to me contains a library of information to them. They can identify 15 different types of ice and snow conditions, each with its own name in Inuktitut. One points out chinu, slushy ice that refroze, and mauya, soft, deep snow that's dangerous to walk on. Another shows me quiliktuk, the ice that's cracked but still frozen together. One hunter points to a particularly jagged section and quips, "Looks like the ice had a bad hair day. Probably forgot its conditioner. We call this winik, ice that's been chewed up by the wind." They tap their unak, long ice probes, rhythmically against the surface. The hollow sound of a sealed air pocket produces a completely different pitch than solid ice. This sound-based technique has outwitted seals for thousands of years. No batteries required. I'm handed an unak to try, and I tap it gingerly against the ice. All I produce is a dull thud, while the experienced hunter next to me draws musical information from the exact same spot. My grandmother always said finding seals on ice is like finding my grandfather's glasses. They're usually right where they're supposed to be, but sometimes they hide just to watch you panic, shares one hunter. The others chuckle softly. She also said new hunters are like puppies, enthusiastic but always stepping in the wrong places. I laugh along, knowing I'm definitely the puppy in this scenario. Communication shifts to hand signals as we progress deeper into the hunting grounds. I try to memorize them. Palm down means stop. Finger pointed means look there. Closed fist means danger. The wind drops suddenly, bringing an eerie silence that heightens all other senses. I notice the hunters' postures change almost imperceptibly as their focus intensifies on something I can't yet perceive. The hunt is entering a new phase, and I can feel my heart beating faster in anticipation. I kneel beside the lead hunter as he begins the delicate process of locating a seal's breathing hole. While many Arctic animals migrate south during winter, I've learned that seals stay put, creating networks of breathing holes through the sea ice. The hunters explain that a single seal maintains 20 to 30 different holes, visiting each one every 15 to 20 minutes. The lead hunter brushes away a thin layer of snow with his mittens, working methodically. I strain my eyes but can barely see what he's looking for. These breathing holes appear as slight depressions in the snow, sometimes with faint discoloration. One hunter tells me that a study found expert Inuit hunters identified legitimate breathing holes with 96% accuracy, while non-hunters scored below 30% in the same test. I believe it, I certainly can't tell the difference. "The snow tells stories if you know how to read it," whispers one hunter, pointing to patterns I would have missed entirely. Fresh breathing holes have slightly raised edges where the seal's warm breath melted and refroze the surrounding snow. Older holes show concentric rings as this process is repeated over days. "I once spent 4 hours waiting by what I thought was a seal hole," confides another hunter quietly. "Turned out it was just where my cousin stopped for a bathroom break the day before. Talk about a different kind of blowhole." The others suppress their laughter, and I bite my lip to keep from laughing too loudly. I watch as they use their unak to gently prod suspected areas, feeling for slight give that indicates thinner ice. When the ice probe makes contact with a true breathing hole, it produces a distinctive hollow sound. I'm amazed to learn that traditional Inuit hunting techniques recognize over 20 different sounds when using the unak, each indicating specific ice conditions. One hunter taps his unak against the ice and cups his ear dramatically. The ice says, "Either there's a seal hole here or my stomach is growling." Hard to tell the difference after 6 hours of hunting. His companions smile, and I'm struck by how they maintain humor, even in these harsh conditions. Once a promising spot is located, they clear away more snow using a panna, the snow knife. Some build a small semicircular snow wall as a windbreak. The complete silence that falls over the group is startling. No coughing, no shuffling. Around me, the hunters have become as still as the ancient stones beneath the ice. Even their breathing seems to have stopped. The only movement comes from occasional clouds of vapor when someone exhales. I try to match their discipline, feeling like an intruder in this timeless moment between human and nature. I watch intently as the hunters take their positions around the breathing hole, each movement calculated and precise. One hunter holds his harpoon, Naujak in Inuktitut, poised above the small, dark opening in the ice. The wooden shaft appears smooth from generations of use, and I'm fascinated by its design. Earlier, they showed me how the detachable head works, not a simple spear point, but an ingenious toggle mechanism that locks into place once it penetrates, preventing the seal from escaping. Time passes differently out here. What started as minutes has stretched into hours. The hunters maintain their positions with remarkable discipline. No shifting weight, no rustling clothes, barely even blinking. I try to match their stillness, but find my muscles cramping after just 20 minutes. One hunter had told me earlier that they often wait 3 to 4 hours before a seal appears, sometimes even 8 hours or longer. Despite the temperature dropping to minus 35 degrees, no one shows any sign of discomfort. I've learned that seals surface for just 2 to 3 seconds to breathe before diving again. They follow a predictable pattern, visiting each breathing hole approximately every 15 to 20 minutes. This incredibly brief window demands absolute focus and lightning-fast reflexes. My uncle once explained seal hunting to outsiders as basically an extreme version of whack-a-mole, except you're freezing. The mole only shows up every 20 minutes, and your family goes hungry if you miss. One hunter had shared during our morning preparations. The memory makes me smile slightly, but I quickly return to stillness. The hunter closest to the hole holds his harpoon in the traditional stance, shaft gripped with both hands, point positioned directly above the opening. His muscles appear relaxed, but I can sense the coiled tension within him. The line attached to the harpoon lies carefully arranged nearby, connected to the avatak float that will prevent a struck seal from escaping beneath the ice. I find myself entering an almost meditative state as the wait continues. The Arctic silence is so complete that I can hear my own heartbeat. Occasionally, I notice the hunter's eyes tracking subtle signs invisible to me, perhaps tiny ripples in the water or sounds too faint for my untrained ears. Suddenly, I notice a change in the hunter's posture, an almost imperceptible shift in focus. His eyes narrow slightly, his grip tightens on the harpoon shaft. A ripple appears in the dark water of the breathing hole. In a blur of motion too fast for my eye to follow, the harpoon plunges downward. The stillness erupts into purposeful action as the hunters transition seamlessly to the next critical phase of their ancient practice. The successful strike transforms the scene from stillness to purposeful activity. Water splashes as the seal thrashes beneath the ice, its movements transmitted through the taut line. Several hunters move to widen the breathing hole, carefully chipping away at the ice with their panna, snow knives. They maintain firm pressure on the harpoon line, preventing the wounded seal from escaping to another breathing hole. When I was young, my father told me the hardest part of seal hunting isn't the waiting or the striking. It's convincing a 200-pound seal that it should come up through a hole the size of a dinner plate. One hunter shares while working. The avatak, sealskin float, bobs on the water's surface, preventing the seal from diving too deep. Two hunters position themselves on opposite sides of the enlarged hole, pulling with steady, coordinated movements. Pulling up a seal is like trying to get a teenager out of bed on a school day. Lots of resistance and occasional growling, jokes an older hunter as they heave on the line. With a final effort, they pull the seal onto the ice surface. One hunter quickly delivers a precise strike to end its suffering, showing a solemn respect that spans thousands of years of Arctic survival. The butchering begins immediately. A hunter uses an ulu, a traditional curved knife, to make precise cuts. Studies have documented over 60 different traditional knife motions, each designed for specific parts of the animal. You know what's the original zero-waste lifestyle? This right here, remarks one hunter as they work. While people down south are just discovering sustainable living, we've been doing it for thousands of years. I watch as they separate the skin and blubber layer in one piece, a technique that takes years to master. The thick fat layer, often 2 to 3 inches deep, represents both essential nutrition and fuel. Traditional Inuit diets derive up to 75% of their calories from animal fats, an adaptation to the extreme cold. I notice the hunter's hands remain remarkably dexterous despite the freezing temperatures. When I ask about this, one explains that regular exposure to cold actually increases circulation to the extremities over time, a physiological adaptation documented in studies of Arctic peoples. Another hunter demonstrates how he can work bare-handed for several minutes before needing to warm his fingers, a feat I find astonishing in these conditions. The process continues with specialized cuts for different parts of the seal. Some meat portions will be eaten fresh, while others will be preserved through traditional methods of drying or fermenting. The blubber serves multiple purposes: food, lamp oil, and waterproofing for boots and equipment. In the south, they have refrigerators to keep food cold. Up here, we have to keep it warm so it doesn't freeze solid, one hunter quips, as he carefully places liver pieces in an insulated pouch close to his body. Even internal organs are carefully removed and sorted. The liver and kidneys are particularly prized for their nutritional value, containing essential vitamins otherwise scarce in the Arctic. Blood is collected for soup, bones for tools, tendons for sinew, and intestines for waterproof materials. Nothing is wasted. As they load their harvest onto the kamutik, the traditional sled, there's a quiet satisfaction among the group. The sun has moved significantly across the sky, but before heading home, one hunter scans the horizon, considering whether the day's work is complete or if there's time for one more opportunity to provide for the community. The journey back to the village carries a completely different energy than our outward trek. The kamutik now bears the weight of our successful hunt, loaded with carefully wrapped packages of meat, blubber, and other seal parts. The hunters secure everything with practiced efficiency, using knots that prevent shifting even across rough ice. Their knowledge of physics is implicit, balancing the load perfectly for optimal traction and energy conservation. The dogs sense the success of the hunt and pull with renewed vigor. One hunter explains that traditional Inuit working dogs evolved specialized digestive systems capable of processing the extremely high-fat diet from seal meat, adaptations not found in other dog populations worldwide. These animals have been co-evolving with humans in the Arctic for at least 4,000 years, developing traits specifically suited to this harsh environment and diet. The hardest part of returning is choosing the route, my guide tells me. The way we came may have changed while we hunted. The Arctic is never truly static. Ice conditions can alter dramatically in just a few hours, due to currents, temperature shifts, or wind changes. The hunters carefully assess their options, tapping the ice with their UNEC probes to verify its stability before committing to a path. I tell my children that the ice is like social media. What looked solid in the morning might become thin and dangerous by afternoon, jokes one hunter, drawing knowing nods from the others. The metaphor is surprisingly apt. Both require constant reassessment of changing conditions. Last month, my cousin took what he thought was a shortcut home and ended up taking the scenic route. He told everyone he wanted to appreciate the Arctic beauty, but really he just got lost. His GPS was working fine. The grandmother positioning system of following his grandmother's advice would have gotten him home on time. The mood is noticeably lighter during our return, though the hunters maintain their vigilance. Occasional conversations break out, often revolving around plans for the seal we've harvested. I learn that in many Inuit communities, traditional food distribution follows specific cultural patterns that ensure everyone receives a share. Studies have documented that up to 60% of harvested traditional foods are shared outside the hunter's immediate family. creating a complex web of reciprocity and social bonds that strengthen community resilience. As we approach the village, several figures wait at the edge of the settlement. Word of our success has somehow preceded us, a reminder that in small communities, news travels with remarkable efficiency. The reception committee includes elders, who will receive the first portions of meat according to tradition. This practice ensures that those with the most accumulated wisdom, but potentially less hunting ability, remain well nourished and valued within the social structure. The best navigation system in the Arctic isn't GPS, it's the smell of fresh seal meat, quips one hunter as community members approach to help unload the sled. The distribution begins immediately, following patterns established over countless generations. I watch as the hunters demonstrate remarkable memory, keeping track of complex distribution patterns without any written records. This family needs extra today because their hunter is sick, one explains quietly. These elders get the heart and liver because they have special knowledge to share with us tonight. Some parts of the seal are prepared immediately. Fresh liver is sliced thinly and shared among those present, providing immediate nutrition after the long day on the ice. Other portions are taken to various homes where they'll be cooked, dried, fermented, or stored according to traditional methods, preservation techniques that effectively maintain nutritional value while preventing spoilage. Modern nutritional analysis has shown that these traditional preservation methods actually enhance certain nutrients, particularly fat-soluble vitamins, that are essential in the Arctic environment. The tools from our hunt receive careful attention. Harpoon heads are cleaned and inspected for damage, knife edges resharpened, and sleds repaired if needed. This meticulous maintenance ensures everything will be ready for the next expedition. One hunter explains that a well-maintained harpoon can last for decades. Some families have tools that have been passed down for multiple generations, each carrying stories and history within their worn handles. As darkness settles over the village, the community begins to gather. The hunters will share stories of today's expedition, passing on techniques and observations to younger members, continuing an oral tradition that contains detailed ecological knowledge accumulated over countless generations. I'm told that linguists have documented specialized vocabularies in Inuit languages, with hundreds of terms for different ice and snow conditions. Language specifically evolved to communicate crucial survival information. I settle in among them, grateful to have witnessed not just a hunting expedition, but a living cultural practice that connects present-day Inuit communities to thousands of years of Arctic wisdom and adaptation.